Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Maverick Mindset Radio Show. I am Adam Williams.
And I'm Ashley Muckinhaupt.
And this is the radio show for the dreamers and doers. It's for those who are willing to step into the arena.
Some call us the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers.
We don't accept the status quo. We leave the world better than we find it.
We approach each day with an enthusiasm unknown to mankind. We maintain a rational optimism about the future.
This is the Maverick Mindset Radio Show, brought to you by me, Adam Williams. And we're back. I can't believe it's episode 6 already.
You thought it was episode 3.
We
have been
no,
here.
That was... All right. Seriously, we're 30 seconds in and already I've done something wrong. Great. Well, I'm really excited about today's episode because, first of all, I think we've created some really great content here and we've added a lot of value to a lot of people, but this is going to be a really good episode because we're dealing with what I think is the biggest complaint we get from business owners and people that we work with. So make sure you've got your notebook. I ordered mine.
I did too.
It's on its way with our faces on it, maverickmindsetradio.com.
A mug too?
I got a mug, yep.
Okay.
And, we do have a new announcement, but we'll save that for a minute. So, yeah, covering the biggest issue that we hear about from business owners today, hiring. You know, we've got employers who say, no one wants to work, and then we have candidates saying there aren't any jobs. So today we're just going to fix that, okay?
Yeah. We're going to solve all your problems in less than an hour, right?
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
All right, yeah, this is going to be another awesome topic today. You wanted to be sure we covered it, but before we get into that, tell us where people can find us.
Of course, Maverick Mindset Radio on Facebook, streaming live every Wednesday. No, what is it? Blowing Your Minds every Wednesday at 9. Going live at 9:05. We're also live on YouTube, Maverick Mindset Radio. So streaming live on YouTube. I think it's actually on my YouTube channel, but got a little subset down there for the radio show. We've of course got the episodes up on Spotify, which is really exciting. So there's about a week delay there. So last week's episode is now on Spotify for anybody who wants to go back and listen, because of course that was our best episode yet. Yeah. Which is what we say after every episode. Yep. And then of course maverickmindsetradio.com. Constantly updating that, trying to find the perfect setup for it. So every week we're making tweaks to it. We've got our Maverick merch.
Yeah.
So we've got notebooks because we think people should be taking a lot of notes during these shows. We've got coffee mugs because got to be caffeinated to keep up with us.
Yeah, and it's early morning.
If you're listening live, it's a bright and early 9 a.m.
Yeah, even if you're listening at like 11 at night, you still want some coffee.
And this is the first week where we aren't somewhere new on the internet, and it's my fault. Setting up the Apple Podcast thing has been challenging, but I made up for it because we now have stickers. Yes. So
we talked about this last week.
We did. We made it happen. So if you go to maverickmindsetradio.com, you can go to the homepage there. There's all that merch and Maverick 10 for 10% off. So go get your stickers, put them on your friends' cars, all over the place. All right.
Stick them everywhere.
Yeah, I'm excited. All right, let's get into it.
All right, before we get into the quote of the day, Adam, we wanted to give a little shout out to Joel.
We didn't even give him a microphone today.
No, we didn't give him anything.
We should have warned him. Can you mic up, Joel? We should have done this. So I'll buy you some time here. So Joel is our producer. And we sit in here every Wednesday with him. We made him really nervous. Even though the guy is on the radio, like how many hours a week are you on the radio?
15 hours.
15 hours a week, yeah. This is his first speaking gig on Maverick Mindset Radio. But we were really excited because one of the things that's important to us is not just mindset and how you think about things, but also actually taking action. And I think we talked about this last week or the week before where Joel said after episode 1, I feel like you're reading my mail.
Yes.
And he went out from there. What was the action that you took after that first episode? Do you remember?
I auditioned for the Playhouse, Guys and Dolls.
So we were talking about what prevents you from hitting your goals, and you
you said that actual story.
I did give that example, not even knowing that was going through your head. Yeah. So I think I gave you a little nudge, and then I think your daughter maybe pushed.
She
was
a little amazing. Bit. Yeah, literally 15 minutes before I had to leave for the rehearsal hall.
So you went to the Playhouse, you auditioned for Guys and Dolls, and why? Like, what's so important about that show?
Well, it's a show that I did in 1978 as a 15-year-old at Mercyhurst Prep.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then
and they did it again. And like, you know what? I had always said if they ever do it at the Playhouse, I'm going to at least audition so I could say that I did. And I almost chickened out. And then you pounded me, and then Jennifer pounded me, my daughter. And I auditioned, and I got the role I wanted. Nicely, Johnson. And we started rehearsals this week.
And when is the show going to come out?
It opens on June 14th, and it's the latter part of June.
So we got 6 weeks or so until the show comes out. But that just happened.
Yes.
Joel heard the show.
Yes.
Because he has to. He sits here every single week and listens to us. He auditioned and he got the part. And
Yes.
I think that's really awesome.
Yes.
So we're excited
Thank
about that.
you. Thank you.
We wish you the best of luck, and we'll be there to cheer you.
We'll be there,
because
yeah.
we're gonna support. So
I appreciate
Of course. Yeah. I'm gonna have to go. I don't think I've ever seen Guys and Dolls.
I haven't,
But let's
so-
go. Let's go. Like
It's your
download
kind of a show, Adam. I think you would appreciate it. It's kind of has that level of snark.
Oh, okay. I was thinking you were going to say nudity, but that makes sense. All right. So, well, on that note, let's get to the
might
quote
not
of the day.
be back next week.
That's what my kind of show. There's certain things that pop into my head. Snark, I guess, is on the list. Yeah. All right. Good. All right. Quote of the day. So today's quote of the day. Thanks, Joel. That was awesome. Quote of the day brought to you by Rust Belt Business Law. Rust Belt Business Law exists to help business owners with the issues that keep them up at night. Quote of the day. We had a lot for this topic because we're talking about hiring. It's such a common issue. There's so many great quotes about team building and leadership. And if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, blah, blah, blah. All right. Here's the quote that we settled on.
yeah, I don't feel like we settled on it.
Great companies don't hire skilled people and motivate them. They hire motivated people and inspire them.
Yeah, I really like that quote.
Yeah.
So, tell us why that's important. What is that quote saying?
Yeah, so we're going to get into that today. I think. All right, so let me back up a second because I think I've got to establish a little bit of credibility here. Even though the people that listen into our show hear a lot of these stories, and of course a lot of our listeners know me, I got to take a step back and maybe lay out some facts so that people understand this, right? So we just got certified for the second time as a great place to work.
Yeah.
And there are 5 companies in Erie on that list. And there's some heavy hitters. You know, they're Erie Insurance and Logistics Plus, which are huge companies. They're Federal Resources Corporation, which is a massive company and growing really, really fast. And then there was a new company on the list, Haysite Plastics. And Rust Belt Business Law is number 5.
Yeah.
And that's it in Erie, Pennsylvania. And to go out the front door of our office 2 blocks east and get into the poorest zip code in the country, and to try and build a law firm in a city where there's no law school. The closest law school is 2 hours away if we're going to go and try and do any real recruiting of lawyers. To grow our business from the law office of me a few years ago to now 20 to 25 employees.
Yeah.
We've kind of got some of this stuff figured out. And not because we're so smart and so brilliant, but because we've screwed this up so many times. And because we've made so many mistakes and been burned so bad, and I talk about the buckets of blood and sweat and tears in the basement of the law firm, like life is too short to make all of the mistakes on your own, which is why I'm laying this out here. Because one of the things that I had to do, I mean, we've had a lot of turnover relative to other businesses, but we've also outgrown those businesses by a factor of 10. So we had to be willing to do that. And in some cases had to be willing to make some pretty significant changes to the way that we do stuff. So we've learned a lot, and that's why we want to share it. And one of the things that we've learned is this. And one of the ways that we've been burned the baddest, good gracious, where's my coffee? One of the ways that we've been burned the worst through hiring is when we go and hire for skill set and experience and don't focus as much on culture fit and core values.
Yes.
We have flipped that around where now we hire for culture fit and core values, and we're going to talk about this later. And the skill set and the experience and the knowledge, we can teach you.
Yes.
You just have to be willing to learn it. So that's the quote about hiring motivated people and bringing in people that are already motivated and inspiring them is so much more important than hiring people that have the skills in a lot of instances.
Yeah.
Of course, there's exceptions to that, but as a general rule, if you're hiring for skill and ignoring motivation, core values, culture fit, you're going to make a lot of mistakes. It's going to ruin your vacations. It's going to ruin your family dinners. It's going to do all of the things that it's done to us over the years. So let's get into it. Today's topic, hiring. I'm calling it the hiring playbook because I'm really going to map out what people should be doing when they're looking to grow a team. And yes, this will primarily be focused on hiring an employee. Could be your first employee, could be your 100th. But this applies to vendors. This applies to partnerships, like following this outline, this framework. I mean, we do a lot of this stuff when it comes to bringing clients into our businesses.
Yeah.
Because we share our vision with our clients and with our suppliers. So going to be a really great topic. Really excited to spell all of this out. And if you haven't grabbed your pen and paper yet, it's time to get it.
Yeah.
Because it's 9:15. Go ahead.
And I got it.
All
Right?
right, fine. I'll do it. It's the
No,
Maverick
I'll do it.
Mindset
I
Radio.
wanted to
All right,
do
fine.
it.
Go. Strike that.
You are listening to the Maverick Mindset Radio. Did I do it right?
Streaming live on Facebook. TalkErie.com. Live from downtown Erie. All right. So,
All right, you super excited about this topic all week. I wasn't at first, but then you
weren't excited about this.
I wasn't.
You were like, why are we covering that?
I know.
And I said, let me show you the scars.
And then I was excited. So, if you don't think this is a good topic, just keep listening, because it is. It gets good.
Yeah, this is the biggest complaint we hear. It's the most common complaint.
Yes.
We can't hire anybody. And like I said, it's employees saying there's no good jobs out there. And somewhere between those two things is the truth. And a lot of this really comes down to poor communication and poor marketing, frankly. So we're gonna solve some of that today.
Let's jump right into it.
Yep. So we're going to split this into two categories, because when it comes to hiring, I think a lot of entrepreneurs are like me. They're quick starts. Like, they just got to jump into action and do something. And this is an instance where it's okay to like pause and take a breath and stare out the window and think for a minute, because before you jump into that job post looking to hire someone, you've really got to do a little bit of reflection.
Oh, you mean those generic job posts that we see?
I could spend the whole episode on that.
My gosh.
I'm not ready to go on that rant yet. But don't worry, we're getting there.
Don't do it, people.
So we're not going to start with the job post. That's part 2. Part 1 is your company. You need to have an understanding of your company, your business, your vision, and what you're trying to build. So there are really 3 things here that I want to break down. The first is the culture that you have. Yeah. And this is kind of a generic term. I think it gets lost in a lot of instances. But actually, we were joking about this in the last couple of days, because that Great Place to Work website with the certifications has a photograph from each of those featured businesses, right? And it's their massive headquarters building, or it's a team working around a conference room table, or it's a guy sitting in front of 3 computer screens working. Ours is some like ridiculous sign that we hung up at Christmas time that says, "From the window to the walls, I'm about to deck these halls." Yeah, we love decorating for the holiday season. We submitted like 6 photographs, and that was the one we took. And nobody's like, "Oh my God, we have to change that." Because that's exactly who we are, right?
We're like, oh yeah, that's in our conference room.
Exactly. So so the culture and the vision is really important. And I've heard this example from some other people that we've studied. You think about jobs that people have, and the example that I hear a lot is a bricklayer. And it's kind of fun because I'm looking at this brand new building across the street with all these rows of bricks on it. And you could walk up to somebody working at that job site and say, "What are you doing?" And the guy can say, "Well, I'm laying bricks." You could walk up to another guy on that job site and you can say, "What are you doing?" He said, I'm building a wall." And then you could walk up to the third person and say, "What are you doing?" And they're saying, they could say, the example that we hear is, "I'm building a cathedral." Or in this instance, like, "I'm revitalizing downtown Erie." Yeah. Right? You want to, as much as possible, hire those folks who are building the cathedral. Hire those folks who believe that you're revitalizing our downtown economy, not the people that are just there to lay the bricks. Yeah. Right? So understanding your vision is super important. And I think,
say that. What's the vision?
We're actually going to do an episode on vision later, because there's some other materials that I'm working on for this right now that are in my book. That's so close to coming out. And I want to talk about it more then, but understanding your culture and why you do what you do and what the impact is that you want your business to have. And we talked about this with goal setting, with your personal and professional and financial goals. This is the professional piece of that, of what's the impact that you want to have, and share that with people.
Do you think a lot of companies and places really understand what their culture is? Nope. I mean, because you hear them say it, like, we have this kind of culture, but it seems so generic to me what it like they just kind of like pulled it out
It's always the poster of the soaring eagle over the mountains on the wall. Yeah, but I think
it's
companies...
like a dig in and really find out what...
It takes some self-reflection, for sure.
Yeah, as the business owner, right? Like
the business owner, as the leadership team, and it's a challenge because so many business owners start their business not necessarily for vision, but because they think they'll be able to have better hours and make more money if they're self-employed.
So as the business owner, you need to understand your purpose of why you're really...
You got to know the cathedral that you're building.
Yeah.
So that's step one. And I know that's a little soft. And if we're talking about hiring, like, people don't get super pumped about that. But if you skip that step, you're going to screw up the rest of this.
Yeah.
All right. Second thing is you need to understand your core values, which is very similar to culture. They play into culture, but your core values are the things that, when you stack them up, really separate you and differentiate you from everybody else who does what you do. Mm-hmm. Okay. So we in our business have 4 core values, which we'll talk about briefly because we share them in our job posts and we share them through some videos that we send out, and we onboard like crazy and talk about them over and over and over again. And if you haven't figured this out already, one of our core values, of course, is take your job seriously, but don't take yourself too seriously, which is why we can allow a silly sign to sit on as our like profile picture on this Great Place to Work certification. So one of our core values is take your job seriously, but don't take yourself too seriously. This is a very personal core value of mine, obviously. Yeah. But I also got it because a judge once said that to me. Terry Williams, you take your job pretty seriously, but you don't take yourself too seriously, and that is a recipe for success in this industry because too many of these people take themselves too seriously.
Right.
That stuck with me years ago, and it's worked its way into our firm. Another one of our core values is figure it out.
Yeah, that's my favorite.
Yeah, it's the most powerful one I think that we have because it's literally what our clients ask us to do. They bring us a problem, they say, figure this out for me, like handle this. I don't know what to do, and sometimes it's really complex legal research. Other times it's Googling for them. Mm-hmm. And then other times it's really creative out of the box thinking, but solving problems and figuring it out for people. And we'll do an episode in more depth on that because that comes into my other favorite topic, which is failure. So we've got figure it out, find the truth. Yep. And we use our Key and Peele skit example for that one where the guys are sending text messages back and forth, but completely misinterpreting what the other person is saying. So one guy's really well-intentioned, the other guy's angry and freaking out. So look up the Key and Peele text message video on YouTube after this. So figuring it out, find the truth, right? Really understanding what the truth is, not accepting BS from people, like really digging deep with them and getting into their truths is really important to us. And then... what's the fourth one?
Is it the be curious?
Be curious, not judgmental. I went out of order, so it totally threw me off. Yeah, that was a test. You passed. That was good. And this is the Ted Lasso dart scene where and I think it's a Walt Whitman quote.
If you have not watched Ted Lasso.
Yeah. Oh man, we should do it like I don't know when the new season's coming out. We'll do a recap of that. Yeah. But it's the dart scene where he quotes Walt Whitman and says, be curious, not judgmental. Mm-hmm. Like those are the core values of our firm. So if you can get in and you can be curious and you can find the truth and you can figure it out and you can have fun while you're doing it, you will be a great fit in our business. Yeah. If you take yourself too seriously, you will not last in our office. Yeah. Right. Like those are really good examples. Yep. So we understand our core values. You know what? I'm going to pull up another example on here because those are just the ones that are important to us, and I'm going to see if I can find another list here of other examples from another business that I really respect. And the business is it's First Form, the supplement company. Okay. And we know Andy Frisella invented 75 Hard. He's one of my favorite guys. But they've got, actually, I'll just tell people to Google it. Go look up the First Form core values because they've got a big long list. They share them, so when they're all about excellence and being the best at what they do and showing gratitude. So every time I order from them, I get a handwritten thank you card from the team, and it's really cool. So understanding your culture, understanding your core values. And then the third part, which I think is really important, is getting clear on how you can align your company goals with your employees' goals. Yeah. And when I said the following sentence as we were preparing for this show, you said, "Oh yeah." Yeah. Right? We talk a lot about aligning our goals. Like you and I are not interested in doing the same things. We have a lot of common interests, of course, but like the way that you want to live your life is different from the way that I want to live my life. And understanding the following is super important for growing a team. Employees work for their reasons, not for your reasons. right?
Yeah.
Like the reason that you show up to work every day is not the same reason that I show up every day.
Correct.
And if I'm curious and not judgmental, I can actually figure out what makes you tick and what's important to you.
Yep.
This is true for everybody on the team, of course. So really getting a grasp on what's important to your company, your culture, your vision, your core values, and then understanding how you can align your goals with your team is super important. Okay. Let's take a breath, because that was the like inner work. Now let's get to work on actually recruiting and hiring people. All right. I'm ready to go into a rant about job postings.
Please do. I mean, your job post, you get what you post out there. That's what, like, I'm
so sick and tired. The people that are complaining about nobody wants to work post the following jobs. Mm-hmm. Our company is looking for a receptionist. You need to be here from 9 to 5, answering the phone with a smile on your face every day, and we pay $12 an hour. Let me know if you're interested.
Yeah.
That's every job post.
We're
looking. So imagine that same job post for, here's the difference. Here's what people get wrong, is they talk about themselves and they talk about their company in the job post. Mm-hmm. They're not talking about the person they want working in that job.
Right.
When you write your job ad, you are writing it to the ideal candidate, the person that you want sitting in that role.
Right.
So our receptionist job ad will say something along the lines of, if you are a happy person who loves interacting with people and making their lives better, and if they walk in frowning and they walk out with a smile on their face all because of their interaction with you, great news. We're looking for a receptionist, and you'll be able to do that every single day.
Right.
Like that gets somebody pumped up about that job, and it makes sure that I find the person that wants to build the cathedral, not the person that's there to lay the bricks and get $12 an hour. Right. So every job that we have, we are really clear about who we think the perfect person is for that job. We may get it wrong, but the type of person that we think will be ideal, and we write the job ad to that person. Yeah. So if we post an attorney job in our law firm, we post about how we do things differently in our firm. Mm-hmm. And it's not all about billable hours, and it's not always necessarily about legal advice. There's often a lot of business advice that we like to give. And if entrepreneurship and small business matters to you and you happen to have a law degree, come and join us. Or for Pennywise, right? Our tax strategy business, the way that we do taxes is completely different from how so many other accounting firms do taxes.
Yes.
And I remember Phil's first week where he got off a client call and said, yes, this is exactly the type of people I want to be hiring. And it's like, we know, because we wrote the job ad to you.
Yes.
We wrote a job ad for our tax strategy business that said, if you're sick of working your tail off from February until April 15th and filing taxes and not doing anything to actually put more money in people's pockets and spreading that work out throughout the year, we've got the job for you. So
you got to describe the person you're looking for.
That's it. That the first part of that job ad has to describe the type of person you are looking for.
Yeah. Not describing
the crappy job.
Right.
Which is what it is. It's always it's never described as a good job when it's a typical job post of we're hiring or now hiring or help wanted.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was really what I was looking to do, was come in and rescue your business when you need help, right? Nobody wants a job like that. Instead, they want to do something that aligns with their own values and what they really want to do. If you wrote me a job ad that said, I never have to interact with people one-on-one, I can just get up on stages and talk to them all day long, I would apply for that job.
Yeah.
But if you're going to say, hey, you're going to be our greeter and you're going to say hello to every person that walks in the door, I have no interest in doing a job like that. I am not that type of person. So understanding the job ad itself is so important. And everybody gets this wrong. And then they complain that nobody wants to work. Well, your job ad is an advertisement. It's marketing material. It should be designed to attract the right type of person. You're
selling your business for somebody to come and work for you. And if you're putting that generic that they see for every, what sets you apart? When we get people that reply to our job ads, the first thing they say is, I was going through and I was looking at it and yours popped out. I was reading this oh my gosh, I've never seen anything like that before. Well, they want to, it interested them. They're like, hey, that sounds like me, or I want to do something like that. But they're scrolling through all the other ones.
We're gonna talk about our interviewing process, but it's usually pretty in depth.
It is.
And by the time somebody actually gets to interview with, this is my favorite thing when I post a job and people are like, I'm applying for that job, and it's like, great. I hope you survive the first 5 rounds so that we can actually talk about it, right? Because what would happen is I would screw up the whole process and system, which is why the process and system exists. But I do love, by the time people get to me and they say, I felt like that job ad was written for me. And it's like, guess what? It was. Because if you've survived the first rounds of the interviews and the quizzes and all the other stuff that we throw in front of you, and if you've survived to the point where you're meeting with me, you're a pretty darn good fit for this position. Yeah. Like, it's up to you to screw this up and not get the job offer once you meet with me.
If you're motivated to go through all of that, and the interview process and the job description has inspired you to want to continue to work for us, that's the whole.
We're going to talk about that next. I want to cover one other thing on the job ad. 2 other things. So on the job ad, you start by talking to the team member, the perfect person for that position, because that grabs their attention. But then you keep them reading when you're talking about your work environment, your culture and your core values and why you do what you do, and then get into the duties and responsibilities of the job. Like, here's what you're actually going to do on a day-to-day basis.
Right.
So if you've read the opening paragraph and you felt like we're talking to you, and you read about our office and you read about what we're trying to build, and you can fulfill these duties and obligations down here, click that apply button. Yeah. Which it used to be more difficult than clicking the apply button, but because I do admit that sometimes the hiring environment can be a little more challenging, so we do eliminate some of the hurdles. I can guarantee you that when the job market turns around a little bit, it will no longer be click the button to apply to our business. It will be send an email with your last name written backwards as the subject line.
I had to do that.
Well, it was a bad hiring environment then for employees. But we all know your last name.
I know.
You can barely spell it forward. Yeah. That's not a knock on you. That's a knock on the complexity of your last name.
So long.
But that was a great indicator of whether you could follow directions.
Right.
And we can't really do that right now because people are like, oh, these people, we haven't yet had an opportunity to really sell them on the job and what we're about. So we've removed some of those early hurdles. Yeah. But I've got friends and clients in other cities that are still doing that. Yeah. That are still making it a challenge to apply. And you still have to jump through hoops because they're looking for people that can follow directions and have some attention to detail.
And it should be a challenge to apply because the person that you're looking to attract to help to take your business to the next level should really want that job, should really be passionate about that job, should want to do the difficult, challenging things to be part of that team. So I don't agree with getting rid of the hurdles, but I'm not a business owner. But I'm just saying
it's tough to say that they should want to do that because some people won't want to do that, and that's okay.
But then you don't want those people.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I prefer to work with the people who are willing to do things like that. So that's a little bit different. So we've got our job posting, which is a marketing piece. It's for external use. You can actually format it pretty well for search engine optimization. So if people are looking for certain jobs, things can pop up. I think sometimes people get a little cute with job titles, and this can be challenging because when you see that job posted as director of first impressions versus receptionist, you may not get it in front of as many people. So you want to be careful with what you're calling it. I'm all about cute titles. Yeah. We used to have a client happiness coordinator. She didn't like that title. I thought it was a great title. But I don't think that I would post the job that way because I don't think people would necessarily get it. Or if there's the way these job sites work is if they've got certain titles,
they'll put it under something that it's not. Yeah,
exactly. So that's your job ad, not to be confused with the job description. If people learn nothing else from this episode, there is a difference between a job ad, a job posting, and a job description. A job description is like a legal HR document. It's boring and bland because it's legal and HR.
Right.
That's a reference document. It's for internal use. The formats can change, but there's a whole bunch of legal stuff you have to have in there as far as like what the job actually entails and what the expectations are.
So you said that's an internal thing for the business to have, legality reasons. That is not your job ad that you're sending out to.
I don't know how necessary it is to lay out the boring parts of the job in the job ad.
But a lot of people do it, which is
all they do.
Yeah.
That's all
they're posting job descriptions.
Make it exciting. Make me want to work to you. And right there, I've solved your problem of nobody wants to work. Yeah. Because if you get this in front of the right people, they're going to say, I want that job. Yep. So you're welcome. All right. So that's the job ad and the job description. That's step one. And once you understand your culture, your core values, and once you understand the type of person that you're looking for, you can write a good job ad.
And you have to do it in that order. You can't write a good job ad if you don't understand what your culture is, your core values are, in order to describe the person that you're looking for. Right?
Maybe you can write an incomplete job ad. I think if I started with the ideal candidate and the person that I want to have working with me, I could probably get the juices flowing a little bit and fill the rest of it in. But I think that culture is that important that, if you leave that out of there, and listen, if you don't think you have a culture, you do.
Mm-hmm.
Go ask a couple of your employees to give you feedback on what they enjoy and what they don't enjoy about working for you, and that's your culture. Like, whatever it's a magnet. Whatever attracts people or pushes them away, that's your culture. All right. So we're about halfway through. Perfect timing. We've covered the first half of recruiting in the hiring playbook. We're through this step one of getting your job out there and getting it posted and writing a good job ad. I love when people ask me for examples on job ads, because it's like, don't steal this. I guarantee your business is different than mine.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, they still steal it from me. So here we are, Maverick Mindset Radio, live from downtown Erie, streaming AM and FM stations, live on Facebook, live on YouTube.
All the places.
Can't wait for the replay on Spotify. Someday, if somebody can teach me how to get on Apple Podcasts, that would be super great. That was the worst job ad ever. Help wanted. Get me on Apple Podcasts, because I can't figure it out.
It's so real, though.
I'll pay you in coffee. It's so real. Somebody loves that. Somebody gets excited. Actually, I think we've pretty well laid out what our culture and values are up until that moment. So that's the person that we're looking for. All right. Second thing, once you've posted the ad, let's talk through the interviewing process. Mm-hmm. Let's start with how I used to do this. I would see somebody's resume that I liked, and I would schedule an interview with them. Yeah. And then they would come in, and I would like them. And then I would hire them.
That was it.
And then a few months later, they'd be gone. For their reasons or for mine.
It's a very quick process.
we make sure that we have a process in place. So let me map out what our process is. Once you've applied for the job, the first thing that we do, if we like your resume, is we send you a survey from the predictive index. It's kind of like a personality test, except it's the best one that I've seen. But if you've taken a Colby test or a DISC assessment or anything like that, this tells you the type of person and the type of worker that you really are. So, for example, on my survey, I am really driving, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not deliberate. I am jump in with both feet and start running. Yeah. And then we hire other people that are on the other end of that spectrum. I am not super social and collaborative. I prefer generally to work alone, but we get other people who are very social and need that interaction. So the profile that we'd put up for a receptionist is not a real great profile for me.
Right.
But Predictive Index is a really good tool for that.
Right.
So it takes about 5 minutes. I'm shocked at the number of people who fall out before even taking that survey.
Yeah.
Because we tell them this is not a quiz, it's not a test, there's no right and wrong. And in fact, you'll learn something about yourself. Mm-hmm. I think everybody who's taken that assessment, and it takes 5 minutes, goes, oh my gosh, that thing stared into my soul and figured me out. So we've got a couple jobs posted right now. One of them is our nanny position, which I think we talked about. And again, it's so easy to apply. All you got to do is click a button. And I'm sending the survey to probably 50% of the people that apply, and I bet 10% of them are actually taking it. It's like, yo, this is a nanny job. Like you're gonna be spending a lot of time with my children,
keeping my children alive.
Yeah, and if you don't have the commitment to fill out this survey, I'm learning a lot about you. So we've got the survey, and then if it's a decent fit for the position, the first step is usually an interview with you, depending on the position. With me. Do you know why we make you the first interview?
I assumed it because I know you so well. No,
that has a lot to do with it.
Yeah. I don't know. No, I just assumed
because
I knew
you love
our
working for us.
Yeah.
And you will sell people on the job.
Yeah.
So you're gonna screen out some crazies, and you're gonna screen out some really unqualified people, and you're gonna know whether or not they're gonna be a good fit culturally.
Yeah.
At least for the glaring red flags.
And I always get the email back after I've interviewed them. They're like, now I'm so much more excited to work there. Now I'm so much more excited to keep
by design.
Yeah,
that's by design, because we're about to put some hurdles in front of them.
Yeah.
So we've got them excited about the position.
Yeah.
So if you are the owner of a business, do not do your first round interviews.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even if you're the only person, if you are a solopreneur, if you're the only person you've got, ask your best friend to do some interviews for you. ask the person who knows you best or someone you used to work with, but get somebody else to hop in there for a 15-minute screening call.
Yeah, it's not long.
They aren't. It's enough to sell them on, hey, working for this guy or girl is super great, and getting that early indication of, yeah, we think you'll be a good fit for us, and really getting them excited about it. So that's probably really strong piece of advice number 2 after writing better job ads.
And if somebody knows you well enough, like you said, ask your best friend if you don't have whatever.
Ask your mom to do it.
Yeah, like they know, I know in that first, like you could have the best resume. Mm-hmm. And we've seen it. You've pushed them to me and say, hey, interview this. I know before the 15 minutes is up if that's somebody
that's happened repeatedly, where I'll give you 3 resumes and say, these are the 3 people I want you to interview. Or if I don't even look at the resumes beforehand, I'll say, this is my favorite candidate.
Yeah.
Or I'll say, what happened to this person? Because I love their resume, and you say, it wasn't going to work.
No.
It was not going to work, right? So either they weren't getting excited about the job, which we like to hire motivated people, or you just didn't think they were going to be a fit. So that's step 1. And then depending on the position, there's other stuff that we do. So let me give some examples. Now that we've got this job ad written to the perfect candidate and they've applied, and we know through our little survey, our little assessment, that they'd be a decent fit, and we do this first sort of screening interview, just basic stuff, a little bit of job history, getting them excited about the job, then we make it difficult.
Yeah.
It could be another interview, preferably in person. Mm-hmm. So pretty standard stuff there. It could be like a group interview where we put 3 or 4 people at the table at once to really pepper people with questions, because we want it to be a little more intense and intimidating, maybe in some instances, if that's a skill that you need in a particular role. That's something that we would do for a salesperson. Yeah. We would throw you into the Shark Tank with 4 other people and abuse you a little bit to see how you take it. Yeah. That's Glengarry Glen Ross. If you can't take the abuse, you take on a sit. Yeah. All right. That'd be if Glengarry Glen Ross came to Erie, I would audition for that. I could be Alec Baldwin.
Yeah.
All right. You haven't even seen it. Don't even start.
I haven't, but I know who Alec Baldwin is.
Yeah, but he's the character in the show that's like... Anyway.
Wait.
We got homework.
Is that the movie you keep telling me to watch?
Yes.
Yeah.
You're in a sales job. You need to watch Glengarry Glen Ross.
Okay, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And Boiler Room. Yeah. All right. Before the weather gets too good. All right, so we got some interviews. We also use a lot of written interviews. Mm-hmm. So we have not sitting at the table with us, but in the other part of the studio over there, we have Chrissy, who is my new assistant, who started on Monday. Yeah. And we gave her a written quiz that probably took an hour to 2 hours to complete. Because, again, if you've gone through this process and you know what the job looks like, and you're excited about working here, but you can't survive a couple hours of introspection to answer, because some of it is experiential questions, but other parts is like, we ask, what is a cause that really matters to you? Yeah. What are the last 3 books that you read, and should we read them? Like, I want to know what type of person you are if you're gonna especially be spending that much time with me. So we use a lot of written quizzes and written interviews. Again, depending on the position, can be a really good time to understand people's ability to use technology, people's ability to write, and their attention to detail. So we've got some quizzes where we say, dump this into Microsoft Word, set the margins at a certain size and the font at a certain size, and correct all the grammatical mistakes.
I had to do that.
Yeah, Chrissy, why did I say Christy? Chrissy completely reformatted the written quiz. Like, there were bullet points. I intentionally number things wrong.
Yes.
And then, but she got so deep in some of the stylistic stuff that I was like, no, I wrote that sentence that way for a reason. But I know that she's got strong opinions, and I can deal with that, and I want that in that position. So written quizzes can be a good idea. They don't need to be an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours. It could be 3 questions. But again, if somebody needs to be able to write well, or if they need to understand technology, or if you just want to be able to give them instructions of, email the answers back to me in this way. Again, their ability to follow instructions. Right. So we love using written interviews. Okay, so we got in-person interviews, we got group interviews, we got written quizzes, we got assessments, love using all that stuff. Give some thought, depending on the position, to how much of that you're going to throw out there. And then the final piece is onboarding. I would put our onboarding process up against any business in the country. Oh. The effort and intentionality that we put into this I believe there's not another small business that compares to the way that we do this, a business of ours.
And again, this was something that improved over time. Like we
every time
failed at it and tried again and to get it right.
Because here's what happens. I did what most business owners do. They're so desperate to hire. They're so overworked. They're so overwhelmed. They finally see the light at the end of the tunnel with this new hire, and they throw the person into the role and go, oh, thank God, I don't have to think about that anymore, until the following day when the building catches on fire.
Yeah.
Right? So we've learned this the hard way. We slow things down in the beginning. Mm-hmm. I haven't had an assistant for 3 months. Yep. Chrissy's now my 4th assistant in the last 12 months because I'm a tyrant. I'm desperate. My calendar is killing me. My email inbox is killing me. My friends are upset with me because I'm not responding to them.
Yeah.
I need her to get in there and get to work. But I also told her that she needed to come in here and listen to this radio show today because it's part of her onboarding. So we make sure with our onboarding, there's 3 things, and I want to wrap this up relatively quickly, although I lost track of where we are on the run of show. 3 parts to onboarding, and fortunately our team is big enough that we can split this up a little bit. But you've got to cover all 3 of these things, maybe not in equal proportions, but you've got to cover these 3 things when you're onboarding and training a new employee. Number 1, you're talking about the culture of your business. Mm-hmm. Yes, you mentioned it in the job ad, and yes, you mentioned it throughout the interview process, and yes, all of the quizzes and things that you sent out, you should be mentioning again. And yes, I love using videos. So we're now hitting it for the 5th or 6th time during their onboarding of reminding them of our culture, reminding them of our vision, which we call a future self-portrait. So I can tell you what the business will look like on December 17th, 2026. And we're talking about our core values. So we make sure that we cover culture. So one of the things that we do for culture, actually, and I love that this now happens without any of my involvement, is we send out a welcome packet to new employees. So after they've accepted the offer and we have their start date, and tell me about some of the stuff that goes in there. Because
we put the books, like 4 agreements.
The 4 agreements,
like in that in there. Our welcome letter should have their agenda in there for the upcoming week.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure we put that in there. I think we save like some of the swag for when they get in.
So part 1 is send them a welcome packet, and it's got a letter saying show up at 10 a.m. on your first day.
Oh, our mission statement. Like we put the newsletter, give them some information of what like.
Yep. So they got some reading material.
Yeah. Yep.
And I just read Chrissy's letter because again she just started on Monday, and I was laughing at myself because I came up with this where it says, show up on your first day. Here's how you get to the office. Mm-hmm. Here's where to park. Things to bring with you.
Yeah.
Your ID to fill out your tax forms. A notebook to take notes, or your favorite pen, and your positive attitude. I'm like, oh God, that's so funny, but it works. So we've got the culture piece of it, and then they show up on their first day.
Yes.
We've got more swag. We got the branded coffee mugs.
Signed card by the team.
The whole team signs a card saying we're so happy that you're here.
We do a lunch.
We order that. The one thing we haven't been doing is I want to order their favorite lunch.
We used to do that all the time.
Yeah. Now it's just get lunch in there. I think partially because we have so many people and we got to get it done. And then there was one other piece that I was going to add on there, but now I don't remember what it was. We got the card, and then we have that little changeable letter sign. Actually, the one that's on our Great Place to Work profile, it says, "Welcome, glad to have you here." With the person's name.
Yep.
And I don't know how many places are doing that. I don't know how many people make people feel welcome on their first day versus showing up scared and intimidating because it is day 1 on the job.
And the thing is that change of the letter sign, just so because it's shout out to KP if you're listening. But this says a lot about hiring her. She does that on her own. Like goes in there, changes that up and so it's that, you hire employees that want to take on that, doing things like that for other people that are coming in.
That's the culture.
That's the culture.
We have a culture of wanting to welcome great people to our team. Our changeable letter sign right now in the conference room says, have you seen it?
No.
It says, Go Fast Boats Mojito, all one word. Anybody who gets that reference, send me a message, and I'll give you a coffee mug.
Yeah.
I'll give you a coffee mug.
Yep.
Go Fast Boats Mojito, all one word. Okay, so we got the culture, which we talk about in onboarding. We've got the mechanics of the office. This is the paperwork. This is the HR stuff. This is the boring. I'll get all your software set up, your email, your calendar.
No getting out of that, folks.
Fortunately, I have nothing to do with that process. Yeah. Don't ask me when our benefits start. Yeah. Don't ask me when payday is. Don't ask me how to set up an account. We got other people that do that.
Yeah.
So we got the culture, we got the mechanics of the office, and then there's the specifics of the job. Mm-hmm. And in some instances, we're really clear. Here's how we want this done. In other instances, you're here to help us figure it out because we've never had this position before, and you're going to help us build this and document it. So for our onboarding, we build it out into those 3 pieces. So there's 2 different additional thoughts I want to put out there for people on this. Number 1, when we hire a lawyer, we tell them you're not going to do any client work for 30 days. Like, you don't touch any live ammunition. You're going to work on practice files. You're going to study. You're going to learn. You're going to look at our template documents. We're going to give you practice stuff to go and draft and work on. So that 30 days where we're paying them and they're generating zero revenue for us is what separates our onboarding from what other businesses do. They're not willing to invest that into their people. Okay, so that's one. Number two, with certain positions, our core value is figure it out. We want people to jump in and take action and do something rather than nothing and try and do it for the right reasons, right? But, and I mapped this out for Chrissy, for the first 30 days, she's absorbing. She's listening to how I think about the things that I think about, which is why she's on the phone or on this in the studio today, because she's going to learn a lot from it. So 30 days of listening. Don't do anything. Because what happens is when you start on Monday and you see a thing and you go, oh my gosh, I can make this so much better. I'm going to start right now. And then on Tuesday, you see a worse thing, a larger dumpster fire that needs to be extinguished, except you're still putting out dumpster fire number one. Give it 30 days. Take notes. Come back with thoughts, come back with questions, come back with suggestions.
Absorb it.
Absorb for 30 days. Days 31 to 60, you may ask for permission. By this point, we're 45 days into the job. You know how I think about things, and you can spot something and say, hey, can I do this? Can I fix this thing? Can I change this? And you'll get a yes or no. Right? Then days 61 to 90, for her position, she can start asking for forgiveness. Go and do the things for the reasons that you think I would do them. And if you screw it up, we'll talk about it. But you've got a pretty long leash there. Those timelines may be different for different jobs. But 30 days of don't do anything. Just absorb and listen and take notes. 30 days of asking for permission. Then from there, we're asking for forgiveness. All right. So that's our onboarding. That was a lot. We packed a lot in there. I was worried about how much we had to cram into that amount of time, but that was...
If you're listening and you're struggling to hire someone and you still just don't got it, I'm going to throw Adam under here. Like, you've been doing coaching, right? You've been helping people. You can help people with this.
I'm literally helping somebody in Texas right now hire a salesperson.
So if you didn't write this down and you're still not sure what to do, or you need help with, like, reach out.
And go on wherever we have jobs posted and just see an example of the stuff that we have out there, because some of them are really cute and creative and aggressive and long, and other ones not so much. But again, it's tailored to the position. But these job ads are so much more than help wanted, now hiring. Nobody cares. Nobody cares that you're hiring. Unless they're desperate for a job. Unless they're desperate for a job. Do you really want that person? Nope. Because the moment they can make $1 more an hour, they're out the door.
They're gone.
Whew. Let's jump into, what are we at? Are we at Obscure Holiday?
We are at Obscure Holiday. And it's not our favorite.
You came up with this one.
I did.
You know what? I actually do love it. It's just not that obscure to me.
It wasn't. And there wasn't, for some reason, May 1st, it's not a very obscure day. So, but it is what it is. So tell us what it is.
So May 1st is National Law Day.
Yeah, it's convenient for you to.
It's convenient. But what's interesting is we actually celebrate this in Erie. Like, it's a big deal in Erie. The Erie County Bar Association does an event every year. They bring in a big time speaker every year. It used to be at the convention center. This year it's at the Warner Theater. And hundreds of lawyers show up. We bring a bunch of high school students in and professionals around the community, and we celebrate Law Day because we reflect on the role of law in the foundation of our country, which was fun because I was just in Charleston last week, and there's a lot of history there, especially around different laws. Take a moment to reflect on our rights and the Constitution of our country. So happy Law Day, everybody. Celebrate accordingly.
Yes. All right, we're going to go into our action items because we're only here once per week, so that gives our listeners time to go out and implement. And today's action items are brought to you by Pennywise Tax Strategies. Business owners, take a proactive approach to your taxes and take action now to reduce your tax bill next year. Learn more at pennywise.tax.
So if you haven't picked up any action items yet from this show, I'd be shocked. But I'm gonna give 3 here, but also knowing that I gave 10 other ones throughout this episode, that if you go and change one thing, it's gonna have such a huge impact. If you get a better understanding of your culture or of your core values, or if you improve your job ads a little bit, this is going to be hugely impactful. But here's the 3 that I came up with. First one is review your job ads, review your job postings. If you've got the help wanted, we need a receptionist $12 an hour job post, you're not going to attract a great candidate. You're going to get frustrated. You're going to be disappointed.
Yep.
Unless you get really, really, really lucky. And actually, I think that's really important to understand is there's never any guarantee.
Right.
We've hired people that we put through an exhaustive process that lasts 30, 60, 90 days. One of my favorites was our friend who lasted 6 days. She actually left on really good terms.
Yeah, it wasn't...
Because she got in and said, I can't do this job. And we were okay with that.
Yeah.
But I actually, on Monday, offered Christy... I'm intending to say Chrissy. I just want to let you know. But it's just... I need more coffee.
Chrissy, a.k.a. Christy.
Chrissy, yeah. I already know her nicknames, too. So
nice.
We'll start incorporating those. But on Monday, I offered her $5,000 to quit.
Yeah.
I said, you're here day one.
On
Welcome aboard. If you leave now, I'll give you $5,000. She said, heck no. So that was a good sign. It'll be $2,500.
Yeah, it goes down. Yep. It goes down as...
Okay, so review your job ads. Make sure they're actually effective. Make sure they're interesting. Make sure they're written to the right candidate. So that's action item number 2 is if you're creating a job, picture who that perfect candidate is and how they can add value to your business. Will they bring in more revenue? Will they help keep your customers happy? Will they bring you sanity? Will they do all of those things? But like how is it that they're going to contribute, and how will you measure their contributions? I think we're so used to people selling time for money, and show up for your 40 hours a week and we'll pay you your hourly rate, and that's what we expect. But successful businesses know the outcomes that they get from their employees, and here's how we're going to measure success. Here's how we're going to know if you're doing a good job. What do you think is the number one metric for your job? Like, what's the most important number that you need to track?
My sales.
Yeah.
What I'm bringing in.
Revenue. Money.
Revenue.
Yep.
Yeah.
Could be revenue, could be files opened, could be conversion rates, like what percentage of clients that you talk to. Any of those are super important, but right? I don't just pay you to sit there on the phone or on Zoom. Like, we track this stuff.
Oh yeah, every week.
When we talked about a couple weeks ago, we launched those new ads and we got like 77 leads that first week, which was nuts. Like, we had a lot of data to track there, but whether you're doing well or not. There's no question. And how you add value to the firm, right? So that's really great.
You get to, as you always say, step on the scale. So it's knowing that number to make you.
Chrissy got really confused yesterday because I literally had my trainer come to the office and he brought his scale and his printer. And this is the full like heavy duty scale that measures every like bone density and muscle mass. And she was confused. Okay. Third action item, ask your people why they work for you. Mm-hmm. Why do you show up to work here every day? Or one of my interview questions, which we didn't even get into interview questions, but one of my interview questions is, it's 6 months from now, it's a Monday morning, it's snowing, it's gross, you're driving into the office, what are you excited about doing, right? I would have that conversation. And again, if you don't have employees, ask your customers what they like about your business, because they're there for the vibe. Whatever you're selling, they could buy somewhere else. Yeah. In a very transactional way. Yeah. I can get coffee from a million different places. I can get clothing from a million different places. I can buy cars a million different places. But there's something about your place, which is your culture, that's attracting me in there. By the way, Lewis, I got a propeller.
Lewis, if you're listening.
Lewis, if you're listening, I win. Because my propeller's better. Thanks to Copper Carriage for that one. Okay, great. Action items. Let's quickly talk about next week's show, because I'm so excited.
So excited for
next week's show. We got to get a couple
show.
Minutes in here. Yeah. So next Wednesday, May 8th, it's the Wednesday before Mother's Day.
Yes.
What are we doing?
It's our Mother's Day show. Maverick Mothers. So yeah, it's all about moms next week. But one in particular. One of my favorite people ever. Can I say who it's going to be?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So next week, our guest is Adam's wife, Jackie Williams. Like, epitome of Maverick Mother. Does all the things. All of the things.
Well, sort of, but that's one of the things that we'll talk about.
But so she's going to tell us how she makes it happen and all the things that come along with it. So it doesn't, like, business owner, mom, wife, she's on
daughter,
different boards of things, right? Like the charitable things, all of it. So
she's a rock star.
So it's like, how do you do all that? How do you keep that going? Yeah. So
she'll have a lot to say about that. Yeah. Because she and I both spend a lot of time thinking about these things and talking about it and sharing it with each other and growing together. Well, so I'm really excited.
And it's important because I think there's that of working moms and, or anything with trying to decide, stay at home or go to work. So it's an important topic that
Society puts a lot of expectations on women, and we are going to destroy all of them next week.
Yeah.
Maverick Mothers with Jackie Williams. I'm so excited. I may never be asked back on the show after that. All right, so we will see you next week. I believe in you. That was so good.